Good evening, welcome to the November 14th Plympton Board of Selectmen meeting. This meeting is being recorded for cablecast and YouTube presentation by Area 58 Community Access Media. The video of this meeting is not to be considered an official public record. Okay, so jumping right into the agenda. The first thing that we have on our agenda is a joint vote with the planning board. We had a little bit of a communication problem, and so they will be joining us at 7 o'clock rather than at the start of the meeting. I think we're going to the next issue, which is establishing the Board of Selectmen warrant signer. I think we sort of talked around that, and that it would be the chair, but we didn't do a vote and make it official, so is that what we want to do?
I'll make a motion that the chair be the official warrant signer.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. Okay, and
So that's effective immediately, right,
that's effective
Colleen?
immediately, and actually I did sign, I did sign warrants this past week.
But I didn't pass anything in yet,
Okay.
at all. I couldn't do it until that's done, and then this is just a list. If you look at the list I'll give you every week, it'll have a breakdown of what she has signed.
Okay, so is
This
that, do you
one
want
next.
anything more than this? This is
It'll be a better
broader
sheet.
stroke.
No, I
Is
think that's perfect.
that all right with good, John?
Yeah.
So it
Yeah, I think so. I
explains
mean, if I
to
have a question, I can always go behind the detail and see.
Sure.
Yeah.
yeah, you
Yeah,
can,
that's,
you can ask me like, what was this, and then I pull the actual
Have we had
warrant
another
itself.
Carver
and
Urban
then
Renewal
right back.
meeting?
It's Monday.
Is this coming?
When do we
Monday,
need
and
this?
Alana
Okay.
said that she
That
would
has to
have
get passed into Barbara. Colleen has
opinion
to sign it.
regarding what we've asked her to look at for Montello Road, ready for that meeting.
Okay.
apparently you have to sign that for the.
That's
go
for
through.
Barbara. It has to get passed in for all the departments, whoever they pick to sign the warrants.
So what I'm gonna put on this is that it's me or the acting chair in case I'm away.
Sounds good.
Cover all the bases.
Yep. Agree? Thank you. Okay. So the proposed KP Law seminar for December 1st, we basically had 4 people to speak in interest. I assume that you two would also be interested?
And I've already attended the one
Okay,
in
so,
Plymouth, so I assume that's the same
I've
thing.
attended one in Plymouth as well.
yeah, this is broader than that. The one that we went to last week in Plymouth was just public records. This would be like a smaller encapsulation of that open meeting.
Is this the
Kind
one
of
she
everything.
did last fall for us?
It could be.
Okay.
It could be. So Lauren actually suggested that we bump it ahead to January. And maybe we could say, you know, a new year, laws have changed. We'll try and get some more people in attendance. Is that all right?
I think that
That's
makes
fine.
sense.
So we have the 5th or the 19th as available dates
For January?
for January. Yes,
I
what?
think,
You had people RSVP.
yeah, she said 4.
I have 6.
You have 6?
Yes, because they were coming in. And Amy Cronin, Art Warren, Ken Thompson, Maureen Springer, Harry Weichel, Tara Shaw, and Nathaniel Sides is a maybe if he's going to be in town.
Well, 6 still seems like a pretty small number to make somebody come out. I mean, we only get, I think, 2 free seminars a year, so I think maybe we'll bump it out to January anyway. And you could ask them
Town's
which.
more active than anyway, there's committee stuff and all
Yeah,
that's
right.
happening.
Ask them which of those 2 dates, the 5th or the 19th, works for the most people.
What day of the week is that?
Those are Thursdays. So I will tell Lauren that we'll get back to her on the exact date. Okay, so the next thing is legal services. They got back to me with a graph of, or a chart rather, of the expenses that we had for the past 3 fiscal years. And if I'm reading it right, for fiscal year 16, we had a total of $65,852, roughly $33,600 in litigation, which means on basic services, we spent $32,000. Their proposal was $36,000, so I guess we have to decide if, and, I'm sorry, I'll go on, for 15, it was $24,000, for 14, it was $17,000. So it seems to me that we would be possibly losing money if we went ahead with that.
Well, is there
plan.
anything that we paid for that would be included?
That is the next question to ask her.
Okay.
They broke it down by, well, as you saw, what the
Right, per incident or...
incident was,
yeah.
but it's hard to know what. But
So
again,
many of
if
these
it's
are
just,
ongoing,
if it's
too.
just general legal services, that's only 12,000. And some of these are just not here anymore.
Right.
So, I don't think we're in a real rush. We can just
Yeah, I
ask
agree
her
with
some more
that.
questions and.
I got this chart, I thought, from you.
It
Is this
is
something
the
else?
same thing, I just put it on an Excel
Oh,
spreadsheet
okay,
because
okay, that's something you did.
I wanted to be,
Okay,
I wanted to make the calculation without having to do it myself.
okay, thank you.
Was there a town meeting expense in one of these, which surprised me? I thought
Yes.
that that was covered. Town
5,600.
meeting, yeah.
Yeah,
I thought that was included in their services.
but we don't have a basic service without, you thought that was a freebie?
Yeah, I thought that town meeting was a freebie, was included in the, of what we
We
were
should
getting
ask,
now.
because there's nothing for 15, but there
Right.
is for 14, so
It's
something.
16.
Yeah, no, I'm going back.
I thought the review of the warrant and them participating in town meeting was included in our package.
Occasionally they're asked to write articles, but I mean, I don't know that.
Okay, we'll ask about that. Maybe they'll give us a abatement.
Yeah, maybe. Probably not. It's good to ask.
So, ask what else wouldn't be covered. Something, litigation and adversarial discussions or something, so.
Well, now that we've got this, we can reread their
Yeah.
proposal and have a better idea. Perfect. Well, thank you for getting that information. That's good information.
Permit renewals, okay. I believe Carla received the engineering report for the gravel permit, but has not yet had a chance to give it a thorough review. I went to the other 3 sites that I needed to visit, the mobile liquor store, the repair shop for their used car license, and Competition Auto Body. They were fine. No, they actually, neither of them have any cars for sale right now. None of them had vehicles that were blocking the entrances or exits. They were clean, orderly. Let's see. There was a little bit of a question on Competition Auto, in that it says that the way I read it is that the premises must be kept neat and orderly and confined to the northerly bay of the front section and the entire rear of the garage with office or southerly side. So the southerly side is the Carver side, which means their used car lot would be, the 3 spaces on the north side of the building, it just seems that like this needs to be adjusted. It really is something that he needs to do when he makes his application, and that's what I told him.
Okay.
Because on the right side, on the southern side, is this big empty
Right, all
lot.
the space.
And then since this was written, again, this is another thing that apparently just is
Right.
forwarded every year, he actually bought the Newcomb land, so
Include
things have
that,
changed. So I
right.
just told him to change that with his application. But other than that, it was...
So you've done
Oh,
the
sorry, yes. And the liquor store still has an entrance and an exit in both the front and the back of the building.
So I went to the two on 106. The first one is the Brandon Berry doing business as Plympton Cycles. Very nice, clean. He doesn't put motorcycles out because he says people who pull in, it's such a narrow spot, he's had problems where they've hit him. So that's not an issue. I also talked to Angels Auto and Towing. He had more cars than the 15 that on display in front of the fence. And we chatted. Some of them were employees' cars and had plates on them. So he agreed to put those out back. And that should bring it down. Now, I went by there yesterday, and there were 17 cars, if I count not only the ones in front of the fence, but the ones in front of the building. So I think just send them a note and say,
But this actually only refers to cars that are for sale,
right.
not cars that are,
But these are cars that are there without any plates, so I assume they're for sale.
okay.
I thought the same thing, that there were too many
Yeah.
vehicles.
So, now, he said he would fix that, so we'll see. Just
It
keep
could take
tabs
him a
on
week or
it.
two
Yeah,
to, right.
yeah, and he was very amenable, so.
Okay, good.
Well, thank you, John, for
Sure.
following up on that one.
And you had done all of yours, correct? So that's done and off the agenda. Well, gravel permit has to go. I expect that we'll finally get to the gravel permit on the 31st.
Is that, whose gravel permit?
Jeff Randall's.
Oh, I've got stuff on there.
You have stuff on there now?
Yeah.
What do you have? And would you introduce yourself, please?
Hi, yeah, I'm Rob Votrino. I'm a local, I do engineering and land surveying. And Jeff Randall contacted me recently. I dropped these off to Bob. I know Bob has to write a letter, and I'm totally jumping the gun because it was like, I don't know, Tuesday. So this is, I figured I'd just bring what I have right now in so you can take a look.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, sir.
Larry Hughes had been the original land surveyor that was working on it, but he passed away in October, so I've sort of taken over. I don't know what the conditions were before. I can only speak to what's out there now. You know, I know that there's discussion about the source of the dirt out there. You know, I don't know. Without seeing what the dirt was when they first dug it, I couldn't tell you what's there. But what is there now is several piles of stuff. You see, you go in past the boulder things, there's a large pile here and the secondary pile here, and then the spreaders here with those things in there. Supposedly, he's got under his farm permit, he can do loam and sand. There's quite a bit of sand there that is only usable for the base of like riding arenas and stuff. It's way too fine, silty, you couldn't use it for, you know, there's no way you could sell it anyway. So, be that as it may, that's where we're at now. We've got volumes of the piles that are existing right now. And I'll leave any of this stuff here with you guys. And, you know, hopefully Bob and I will touch base in the very near future and, you know, see what he wants with a letter or not.
Okay, good,
Okay.
thank you. And this is the same materials you gave to Bob and,
Yeah, well, not a
And-
big one, but,
Right.
you know, yeah. Yeah.
okay.
So,
Thank you very much, Rob.
no
Thanks,
problem.
Rob. This looks like what Bob and I saw when we were out there, so probably some of the dimensions have changed, but same layout.
And Jeff did call last week to wonder if we would get to the permit this week, and I got back to him, and at that point, Bob didn't have the stuff from Rob, so
Okay.
I basically told him no, even though it was on the agenda. And he said something about this being a dry pick bog, so they don't have to go as deep and
Oh,
things
okay.
like that, so I'm pretty content in letting Bob sort this out.
Sure, Bob can contact Rob if
Yeah,
he's got
yeah,
any
there's,
questions. And
he is at the ground level that he would need, but the ground level now at the bottom of the piles, he would just be planting plants on top of it. He's not gonna be digging out anymore.
Okay, so
Beyond
we'll let you talk with Bob Carley
Okay.
and we'll get it sorted.
Sounds good? All right,
Great,
thank
thank
so
you,
much.
thanks for coming in.
Thanks.
This is on Earth. Okay, under committees and boards, we had talked briefly about a bylaw committee. We've had 3 people who are interested. It'd be Harry Michael, Art Moran, and Amy Cronin.
And we also have Ken Thompson. He's
He's
indicated
interested.
a number of times here that he would be interested.
Okay, and Art was talking to me last week about some Board of Health issues and some of the bylaws that relate to that need to be tightened, so I think they have someplace to start.
Well, I have an issue with, we have all 3 members of the Board of Health. I just don't think that,
Oh, they're all 3 members of the Board of
they're all
Health?
3 members of
Oh.
the Board of Health.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like I would limit it to 1 member of a board.
But then we've only got 2 people, right?
Well, we have to go get more people, but, you know, we have Art Moran and Harry on the Board of Health, on the Public Safety, and both working at the transfer station. And it just seems to me like a little overkill.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we have to find a couple of more people outside of there. I don't think it makes, and it's not that I'm dealing with the Board of Health. It would be the same if it was conservation or planning.
Okay, I actually didn't remember that Harry was on the Board of Health, so, and I didn't have Ken down, so we'll continue looking then, we won't.
Well, I hate to,
on that yet.
you know, they're all volunteering just to say no, but maybe we could control the scope of what they're, you know, we'll assign them what we want them to review, rather than them deciding, so it's not all just Board of Health issues, that, you know, we're asking them, giving them a priority list of bylaws that we'd like them to look at first, where, I mean, these guys are all sharp guys, and then maybe more people will come along.
If we started out on Board of Health bylaws, I probably wouldn't feel, but I think on the other general laws, we need a broader diversity of people. So that's my feeling. Now, the other part of this is, I did talk to Zach Blake, who is the Department of Revenue Technical Assistance I had mentioned. And he said, yes, they would come in. They will not work alongside, but what they would do is they would send some people in to give a presentation on approach, how they've seen other towns do it, and how they've been successful. And that's a freebie. So I think that's something that we should keep in the back of our mind, you know, to do.
So they'll point us in the right direction or give us advice, but not actually review our bylaws.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So it can't hurt. We can always ignore it.
Oh, sure. I am gonna kill that one.
Well, okay, now I'm a little confused. I would have thought that the issue would be having 3 members of the Board of Health working on Board of Health issues, although I'm not quite sure why that's an issue, rather than a man who has spent his life as a builder and is now on the Board of Health, and a man who's spent his life in the newspaper business and is now on the Board of Health, and Ken Thompson has been on a number of boards, and I guess I don't quite see the conflict.
Well, I do. I see it as being one where if the Board of Health has an agenda, then it's going to be driven. I just think we need a broader diversity of people.
I think we do too, but this is what we've got right now, and
I mean, I don't see an issue as much in approaching Board of Health bylaw issues, because these are the experts, so-called.
right.
But I would rather see a few more people that have a broader diversity, and maybe we just have to reach out a little more.
Deb, did you have a question?
Yes, will the 3 make a quorum anyway?
Yeah, 2 would make a
Well, they'd
quorum.
have to post these bylaw meetings as Board of Health meetings as well, because, you know, especially if they're talking about Board of Health bylaws.
Yes.
I mean, in a
Yeah,
sense,
well,
you have the
that's true,
same
too.
issue with public safety. They should be, they have a quorum there.
Are they all three on public safety?
No, two of the
Two.
three.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, we face the same thing, so I
right,
don't know why it's...
anytime we would,
Yeah.
right, if we
Yeah.
were gonna deliberate.
When Mark used to go to the public safety, I posted it as a,
Yeah,
even
A
though we never
selectmen's
talked.
meeting, right?
I mean, that's not really our issue, but it's
Right.
something that
Mhm.
they should consider.
All right, we'll give it another, well, it'll be 3 weeks, because we're not meeting until the 30th, and see if we can get
See
a
if
few
we
other
get,
people.
yeah, get some more volunteers.
So anybody who's interested in reviewing the bylaws, who's, likes to pay close attention to words and
Detail.
definitions and detail, please.
We've got a very
Let us
good
know.
start, just looking for a couple more people.
Okay. All right, then, let's jump ahead to Dale.
Well,
Sure.
we're gonna go through the other, we've got fire chief, we've got all the boards, I've got a number of things that I can talk to.
That's the parking lot. The parking
Right.
lot is not the agenda.
All right,
So you did bring something forward that we will do down here.
if the parking lot is not the agenda, then why are we listing all these things and then not talking about them?
Well, for some of them, we put a date on when we will be talking about them.
We have one date on at least 12 different issues.
Yes.
I
and
assume
other
that
times we have
this
had
allows
dates.
us to talk to these issues as part of the meeting.
I think that people understand that the parking lot, it says right there that it's for future discussion, not for discussion at this meeting.
And subject to change. Dates are tentative. There's no dates except one.
Is that posted with the agenda online?
I assume so,
I
yeah.
think it may be, yeah.
Okay, well then, yeah, I
So
would think
go
it would
ahead.
be fair enough.
Talk away.
So the fire station. We met with the chief back a ways. We then had the chief and his deputy chief come in and talk to us about the ambulance side of the business. As part of that, we talked about regionalization. In the interim, the chief went off and talked to both the fire chief of Halifax, I believe the fire chief of Middleborough, and he gave us, which I passed out to you, the contracts for those, for Hanson and Halifax.
So he also talked to Hanson.
I assume he talked to Hanson, though I don't remember him saying specifically, but since he gave me that, I assume he
Okay.
must have. In the interim, he caught me one day and said, you know, this regionalization, I'm looking into it as you suggested. I want to make sure that this doesn't become an issue with the people who are working at the station. Now, I understand today, I was called by the deputy chief at the fire chief's request. And to say, he said two things. First of all, the fire chief in Halifax is going to talk to the Board of Selectmen of Halifax because we, the Plympton Fire Department, have asked for numbers, which I didn't realize that he was doing, but apparently he's gonna attack it.
Okay.
I don't think, the issue I see with that, and the only issue is courtesy issue. We should have gone to the Board of Selectmen first probably and said, hey, we're interested in this and let's have our people talk.
Well, I think we should have sent letters to all of our surrounding communities laying out that we're looking to regionalize in a variety of different areas.
Sure.
And, you know.
But
this
in a
is one
sense,
of
we
them. You're
asked
right,
the fire chief to go
right.
forward.
We did.
So I don't criticize that, it's just that I feel we got a little forward, a little too fast. So one thing that drops out of that, I think we ought to reach out to the Halifax Board of Selectmen and say, let's talk, you know, and see where we're at. My position has been, right along, I don't see how the two departments just being combined per se saves money automatically. But that if state money is coming to regionalization, much like the regional high school, then it might make sense. And I think that's where we want to reach out and discuss. The deputy chief did say that he and the fire chief were getting some rumblings from people that, over there, that they think they're gonna lose their jobs. And I tried to say to the deputy chief, that's not, this is way premature. I don't see how it would cost jobs anyways. The issue is trying to get more money flowing in. But he did ask that one or all of us meet with, say, the department staff, just to make them at ease. So I said yes, and I assume if you, so we'll set a date and then we'll just go over and chat.
Yeah, I mean, I thought this was just very, very preliminary, like, if we were to regionalize, how would we do it?
Right.
And,
So it's picked up its own speed.
Well, we need to reach out to Old Colony Planning Council too, because we have a grant to help, for them to help us look at opportunities, and maybe we should now get them involved, being that things are starting to kind of happen where they can
Yeah.
assist us as well, and maybe reach out to the other towns and help us in the process too.
I'd like to see us get to the Halifax Board of Selectmen quickly.
When do they meet again?
I don't know. I don't know what their schedule is.
Tomorrow.
Just to say, hey, this is how we got here, and
Well,
then suggest
it
things
might
like you're
not be
suggesting.
bad for one of us to go with the chief if he's planning on attending that meeting.
I did not, see, I was
Or is
talking
it
to the
tonight?
deputy chief.
What's
I thought it was
tonight?
tonight. I thought he said tonight. Is it, Deb, do you know?
I think they meet
They generally
Tuesdays.
meet on Tuesday nights.
Okay, so maybe he got,
Halifax Selectmen meet tomorrow.
Okay.
okay. So I don't know whether our fire chief was going, or anybody from our side was going. I've got the 6 to 7 shift tomorrow, so,
Oh, they're every second and fourth.
Yeah. They are
They're every other
on-
week.
It's the
also.
second and fourth Monday of the month.
Second and fourth Monday of the month, so
so what is this?
Tuesday.
Second and fourth Tuesday of the month is when they
The
meet?
second and fourth Monday of the month. I have Kingston meets every Tuesday.
Okay, so Halifax will be meeting tonight then?
Yeah, and that's what that's what I was told.
Okay, well, we can follow up with Charlie Seelig
Okay.
and let him know
So
that we're
how do you
thinking
want to
about
reach
this.
out? I can give him a call if you want, or you can do it.
Well, you've been doing this, so I guess I'm considering the fire department your baby, so
Okay?
you can go ahead and reach out to Charlie or reach out to the Halifax Board of Selectmen.
Yeah, and because we had talked about, possibly animal control, doing that as something we would regionalize. There are other opportunities too. We talked about the inspectional services, possibly regionalizing that. So, or maybe regionalization isn't the right way to word this. It's more of combined services might be a better way
Sure.
to
Sure.
approach this, but that's something we had talked about too. So there are a variety of topics that we could certainly approach them on for combining services.
So when you say they, you mean
Halifax,
Halifax versus... okay,
Halifax
sure.
and possibly Kingston.
And maybe that's the way to position the meeting.
Just so if I could put it in, first of all, there's no money from the state for regionalization of any public safety services. Money from the state for dispatch, which we're already taking advantage of. And so there's very little savings.
Well, there is a push, though, for grants coming down for regionalization, because that was outlined at the meeting we went to.
In certain areas, but I mean, those would maybe be capital grants for, shared assets of some sort, because there's the level of fire protection that you require here isn't going to change if it's combined with somebody. You're still going to have the same number of people, and they're still going to cost the same amount of money. You may be able to save in administrative costs, but that's really not the high point of where you spend money in in any one of the departments. It's in the rank and file where the money comes. And just to throw out, I've looked at this stuff before. It's never been done in the Commonwealth, so I'm not saying it can't be or it won't be in the future, but I'm sure a lot of people have looked at it, and I know several others. And in terms of, you can actually get a far better return on your investment with police departments rather than fire departments, because police are out and they're mobile and they're on patrol, and usually if you have two officers out, something happens and one venue, they can be there to, you know, back that up. But in a fire, you don't have that choice. You have to respond with X amount of equipment, and so it ends up being really difficult. I don't know, I can't imagine what kind of grant money they're coming out with for push. They're certainly not going to give operational money, you know, and that would be the only place you'd really save it, would be in operational money, unless they're buying trucks or something.
Well, I think it's still something to at least start a conversation
Right,
and see
absolutely.
Do you
where.
wanna
Yeah, I mean,
talk to the old colony and see what those, you know, if they have any advice on?
How about if I have Eric contact you, John?
Okay, and who's there?
Eric Aberdeen is the planner, or a planner at Old Colony Planning Council. And
Okay.
he's actually gonna assist us with our affordable housing plan when the time comes as well.
Sure.
And he's the one that helped us with the hazard mitigation plan, that was Eric. So I'll have him contact you, and he may not be the best person, but if he's not, he'll definitely
Okay, great.
get you hooked up with whoever it is.
So, do we know anything about where they do regionalize these services and how it's done? I mean, maybe that's something we need to look into as well.
they do it on a countywide. In other states, they do it countywide, and generally, that's the way they started, and that's the way they are. So there again, you can save on administrative costs because you've got one head or chief,
Right.
and he's operating over a much bigger area with satellite stations and so on and so forth, because those stations still have to be manned, your response time has to be such, and trucks only move so fast. I mean, that's what happens. What happens to regionalization in here is we're all provincial New Englanders, and we do not like to regionalize with our neighbors. It's a fact of life. Part of, Eric was involved with this. They did a study with the 8 towns for dispatch. And I sat through a lot of those meetings that they had. They were locally, Halifax had them. And there were 8 towns, and they were talking about regionalizing dispatch. And as it turned out, no one regionalized because no one would give up their dispatch. We regionalized with Duxbury, but we were in a position where we weren't doing our own dispatching at the time. The state police were doing it. And so we regionalized with Duxbury. It's very good. It works out for us. But nobody else regionalized because people don't want to give it up. And dispatch is one area where you can save an awful lot of money. I mean, in terms of regionalization.
Apparently Halifax has joined.
Yeah, Halifax has joined as well.
Are they in Duxbury now?
Yes.
Yeah, because they were spending, I know that for us, it would have cost us roughly, with benefits and everything, probably about $270,000 a year to operate a dispatch if we had to operate our own. Halifax was spending $350,000 when that study was going on. And I was, in my prior job, involved in a 3-town regionalization, and the numbers were fairly similar. It cost so much to have people on the phone 24/7, 365, so nothing really changes. And we got it down to, with the grants, because they are giving grants for that, because the state, Mass 911, operates the PSAPs, the calling centers. They own all of that equipment and they maintain it. So it's costing them several $100,000 a year to maintain all of this equipment and the whole system. So once they eliminate one of those systems, you know, there's grant money to be had. And with the 3 towns, that when I was giggling in it, we got it down to about $70,000 a year for dispatch for each town, which was a bargain.
Oh, sure.
But that's where you save a lot of money, but you tend not to in public safety. You'd be more likely to do it in police departments, but you would have to really pull a rabbit out of your hat to get 2 town police departments to actually merge into one. They just don't do it here. Plus, they're all unionized, which makes that even more difficult.
I don't know, I think that there might be more where the state is really seem to be pushing regionalization, or at least exploring it, that it may be a wave of the future, that, you know, towns just don't have the money that we used to have, and we need to at least try and see. I mean, it may not work for us, but it's certainly
no
worth
worse
our
off.
time. Yeah, we'll be no worse off if it doesn't,
So,
yeah.
It's worth exploring.
It's worth exploration,
The other
yeah.
thing I think we can do is reach out again to the Department of Revenue, because they're the ones who are standing up in front of all these towns at the meetings and saying, this is the direction we'd like to see you go. And just see what feedback we can get, you know. If there's no money, it probably isn't gonna help us, but if there is something coming, it'd be nice to at least have a little advance warning so that we could start to think about what are the issues involved with something like
Right.
this.
Yeah, when I looked into it a little bit a couple of years ago, it was, as Dale said, a savings in administration.
Mhm.
You know, you don't have as much, you don't have as many people at the top for
Yeah,
all the towns.
sure.
You combine that. And then also the specialty vehicles that you may need. You don't need one for every town because
Right.
most of the time they're just sitting there.
Right.
And that's the kind of thing. So
Yeah.
but you have to have some kind of formal agreement for sharing those things. And if you have that, then there are grants available. I know in particular in the highway department, there are grants available if you buy, say, a line machine. You have an agreement with another town that you're going to buy this together and use
Yeah.
it, then there's grants available to help buy that.
And it's not clear to me that even if the state were to divert some funds, that it would make sense. I mean, there's a whole host of other issues that would have to be explored to, and you might back away and say, no, this just doesn't make sense.
Mhm.
And this is not something that would happen quickly.
No.
It's a
no, not at
process.
all. Right.
Yeah, it's something we look at now, and maybe no one will look at it again for another 5 years, but you have to, as you say.
I've got a
Start
couple
the
of other
process.
things.
Go ahead.
At last Tuesday's meeting, the one-on-one, I did have a resident come in who had an issue with Comcast. And I'm trying to reach out to Comcast. I don't know if they'll talk to me, but it's a minor issue. But the lady was somewhat upset, so I think I need to at least get some feedback to her so that she feels like at least the selectmen responded. So that's something I'll work on. I guess I had a question around the communication meeting with Maureen. Where are we gonna go with that?
I don't know.
I mean,
It seemed like it was something that she really wanted, and then we had, the issues with the land purchase, and maybe both sides, maybe I backed up, and maybe she backed up, and we haven't gone anywhere with it. So I don't know.
okay. Do you mind if I talk to her?
No, I emailed her a couple times trying to establish what she really envisioned this
Sure.
roundtable to be, and I never really got an answer. Again, because the land issue came up, and I think it sort of threw up a roadblock.
Okay.
So yes, sure, talk to her.
One other issue that's just something for the future, talking to Barbara, and we were just talking over some financial reporting, et cetera, but it seems to me one of the things we should do is invite the auditors, our auditors in to the Board of Selectmen yearly when they file their report, and they should talk to us about, what they've found and any recommendations. And so with your concurrence, I would ask Barbara to host that, and probably would have Barbara and Colleen come in with the auditors and just,
And Deb, too, Deb Stewart.
yes, that makes sense, yes. And just, give us a lay of the land.
Sure.
Well, it was a much smaller report this time, so that was nice, so.
Yes, and I think Barbara was a little reluctant from the last time because so many of the things that had been commented had been corrected. So it was almost like, well, they say this, but wait a minute, we're beyond that.
Right.
So I think this time it'll be, if anything, a big positive.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're doing a great job.
Okay.
Okay.
Anything else that you?
I'm gonna, probably comments for a while.
Okay. Dale, you want to? Go ahead.
Sure. On the, well, we'll start with the agenda items that are actually printed at first. The Mayflower Municipal Health, I'm waiting for them. I have a call in now, and I've left messages, and it's, please call me so we can talk about this, and they seem rather reluctant. I do know, I will throw in that they will vote on next year's rates next month in December as
We
well.
have a meeting December 7, yeah.
Yeah, and that's, so, at that point, we'll know what's coming up next year. But I will get in touch with them and hopefully get this information so I can get it to the other providers just for some numbers. The email server update, I'm promised that it will be completed this week and ready to go. So I will send an email around to everybody when that happens.
When that happens, Dale, so who will gravitate onto that? Anybody, or is there a select list, or how will that
Well, all
work?
the current email addresses would move over there, and then you would just have to download the information onto like Outlook, so you could, or an email client of some sort, so you could get it.
So the people who
'Cause
want,
I don't believe the XJS thing will work anymore. I think that's, they're gonna overlap, so there's gonna be some transition time here.
I'm thinking of the people who aren't on it now, some of the boards that have said they won't come on it.
$4 an email address per year, you authorize however
Okay.
many you want to put on. I mean, we're at like 39 or something now, and I think inside the budget, that's doable this year. If we throw a whole bunch more on, it may not be, we may have to actually ask the FinCom for
$4 a year.
several hundred.
But I'm thinking people who, I initially resisted, then I got one, but all I do is transfer it over to my personal account. I will drop that, assuming, it works like everything I see here. So now I think it behooves us to put
But
a
once they
word
get moved
that says-
over, then we'll sit down with Michael, and then we'll move them, everybody can set up on the
Yeah.
new system. And then once that's it, we'll shut down the App River system that we're using. I mean, the numbers all stay the same, everything stays the same for people.
But then in the future, maybe we'll have a meeting where we get Michael in and,
Mhm.
get the people who aren't on it and say,
On it.
now's the time to come on.
Well, that would be a matter of policy for the board to decide. I mean, the board, you can authorize it at any time. You move them on, you just say you have to use a town email address now, and that's the end of it. You have to use a town email
I
address.
think that we did, we sent a directive
Yeah, and I mean,
already
there's,
on that.
I mean, most of the heavy hitters are on now, but there's some others you might want to extend that to in the future. And send a memo periodically insisting that any town business is conducted on that email system so that it's salvageable.
Right,
So when we switch, we have all of our emails in folders and, organized. We're moving the whole thing?
That's all, yeah, that's all backed up on the server, so all your old stuff is backed up on the cloud. If you need to retrieve it, you would need to keep a certain amount, I'm sure, but I'm just not sure you need to keep everything from several years ago.
So anything on the Outlook that's on the web now, will we be able to bring it into the new?
I'll ask Michael, a certain amount of it, I'm sure, I don't know how much of it, I don't know how much of it will translate over. It
That's
should
what
be
you're-
all of it.
Yes, and how we do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm. Okay, I mean, and that will be a Michael question in the end. As soon as the new one's up and running, the Microsoft Exchange, then we'll do all of that. And he did assure me that that was gonna be done this week, so we could start making that changeover quickly.
Okay.
The letter to the Kingston Board on the land sale legislation, I did talk to Charlie Seelig last week and told him that this board was interested in, or that Kingston's board was interested in having a letter, or Kingston's chair of their board was interested in having a letter from the towns about changing amending the special legislation. Charlie said he had heard that, he was going to bring it up to his board, he would let us know. I left it that, I said, well, this board will go either way, but that they'd probably prefer, since Kingston has asked to give them that, and he didn't seem to think it would be a problem, so he'll probably draft up something quickly, assuming, and if they're meeting tonight, assuming their boards, he'll probably have some answer on that, so I'll email you and let you know on that one. And then, John had asked a couple of questions earlier. Staff communication meetings, department head meetings. It looks like everybody can do it on Monday, like say Monday during the day, Monday AM, sort of 10 o'clock. So that's probably what we're going to be shooting for. I'll do it, I'll send an email out, and I assume you want a board member to attend that. I mean, it's the first one. And then, again, there was a question on agenda. I mean, the agenda will just be a sort of making aware of what's going on in your particular department that other people may not know about, or if there's a interworking together. But I mean, the boards work pretty well and the departments work pretty well together now, so I'm not sure what we would have for an agenda. I think it'll sort of be spontaneous when everybody gets together as to what comes up on that. But I'll probably be doing that, I mean, I guess, I don't know, it won't be next Monday, it'll probably be the end of the month.
31st, is that the 31st?
Because next week is closed,
30th.
it's holiday week and all that good stuff.
So
Well, if
you're
you-
thinking the 30th?
I'd like to attend the first one, so if you put out an email,
Yeah,
just...
yeah, that's what I was saying, is that the 30th is a Monday, right?
Yeah.
All right, and job description status update, we have job descriptions, we have, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, I have 5 job descriptions, and I also have 3 that are, the job description is actually contained in the contract, so that there's,
Okay.
there's 8. But in terms of needing them, there are about 6 on my list of job descriptions, there are about 6 that we need. 6 job descriptions.
Can you
28.
email that around to us so we
All right.
can...
Sure.
So
Yeah,
how
I'll
is our next
email it
meeting on
and,
the 30th? Oh, it's not.
let you know which ones.
So you've got 6 or you got 8? You got 8, you said, because
I think I've got 8, yeah. Animal control officer, we need one. Actually, Mass Cop 276, we don't have a patrolman subscription. I'm not sure that we really want to do that. I mean, because they tend to do their own thing amongst themselves. But that is one of the ones I have listed. And then town accountant, I don't believe there's one there. There's not one for operating the transfer station. And treasurer collector and zoning enforcement officer.
I think the town accountant is an MGL, and I'm not sure if the treasurer collector might be.
The town accountant is definitely MGL. In terms of a job description, you can kind of embellish that one
Right.
way or the other, but yeah, you're right. Treasurer collector, yes, no, I mean, but
So the highway supervisor is pretty
is not
critical.
listed, is not listed here, and that would be, they got transfer station, but no, on the list
No
that I
highway.
have, you would add, that's the next thing, which ones do you want to add?
'Cause-
Obviously, highway superintendent, especially if you're going to go to an appointed position, would have to have a job.
Right.
Which we voted on at the last town meeting.
Right.
And Jim is, his contract is up this year, isn't it? Or is it-
17
Yeah,
It's
next year.
17?
17.
Okay. So that would be a critical one to get
17
moving
or
on.
18, I'm not sure.
I think it's 17.
I mean, I would, if we're gonna have job descriptions, I would like to see a formal, so like the accountants, even though it's covered under Mass General Law, we take the Mass Mutual Association, and that we just make sure that everything's covered and we feel comfortable. And then,
We can create, I mean, we can
Yeah,
create.
that's what I'm suggesting.
And that they're out there, I mean, you know,
Right.
you don't really
Right.
have to, it's not,
Right.
you don't really have to
right.
build them.
And
from
probably the
ground.
best way is to give it to Barbara and say, you know, are there things we're missing? I know my daughter works, she's worked for Simmons, now she's with Northeastern, and she always says, you know, first thing they do is, they say, now you write your job description.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Let's
Yeah, that's
just
what I thought we were
Yeah.
gonna do.
go to the
Yeah.
department, say you're the
Exactly.
head of the department, write your description
Exactly.
and your employees.
Where they're kind of
Department
like
members.
chapters, then we can give them some, say, hey, as background here. But they
Right.
know it, they're way ahead of us.
Right, they do, and they know where to
Yeah.
find them, and
Then we can find out if we're missing any.
But I do think we need to move on the highway
I
supervisor.
agree.
Yeah, especially if you're gonna hire, I mean, you know, or whatever you wanna do, if you're gonna go with the appointment. And the last thing that was John's request was a whiteboard. Now,
I want a whiteboard.
You do.
well, I took the assumption that you would probably want something that's of some size.
Yes.
Okay, well, that's when we get into, you know, bigger like this or like this.
That's, the one I'm looking at the picture, the right-hand corner, upper right-hand
Yeah.
corner, that's what I was kind of
Yeah,
thinking
and they
of.
put those, that's on, actually on, it's magnetic glass, you can put paper on that in addition to writing on it.
Magnetic glass, so the hell with
Yeah.
that.
B, C.
What does that mean?
You can take the little magnets, kind of like what we have out in front now with the hours.
So does the magnetic glass, when you write on it,
Well, you can write on it, and it'll, with the dry erase marker, same
And it
thing.
comes right off.
Yeah.
Or you can take your
Because
paper.
one of
Or
the
you can just take a
complaints you
paper like this.
suggested about the old ones
The
was,
old, yeah.
if you
You
use
just
the
take a
wrong
paper like
marker,
this and stick it on there, and
Yeah.
it will stay. I mean, it comes right off. It's static
Yeah.
electricity or whatever holds it.
that sounds great.
Well, yeah, it's good.
What's the price?
Yeah, it sounds expensive.
ABC. Twice functional space, wall-mounted, versatile, visionary, mobile, magnetic, half-inch tempered glass. They have a price, but they have it crossed out, and it's like $1,400.
So back to the old,
So if
That's
you
why I
wanted to
had it down, I told you
if
they
you
were
want to go
expensive.
to the master vision, and that's 80-inch. I won't read you all the descriptions, but essentially it's a plastic removable pad clip size of, anyway, that's $799, $800.
yeah, I was looking for something. I thought there was some down in the $400 range that, you know, they're probably cheapies, but
Yeah, well, they are, I mean, but when you get down to that, you're getting down to the small stand-up, kind of almost, not the easel type, I mean, you can still move them around, but they're not easy.
all right, well,
Well,
we'll table that. for-
yeah, and my thought is that we are going to apply for some kind of IT grant.
Right,
I think if we can get this included in that, not a whiteboard, but a computer that you can
Computerized.
just write on, and I mean, I have my little thing.
like the ones that you see in
Just right, it goes
schools
up.
now where you write on it and then you press the button and it
Exactly,
copies it out
Yeah.
and transfers it to a computer if you want.
yeah, and that way you can save it. you
Okay,
can-
I
guess,
agree.
You know, and again, from the people that won the grant last year, there were things that were a little more high-techy than what we were going for, and maybe we just sort of need to shoot for the stars there.
Right.
Adam Bailey, I happened to run into him today. He's one of the people I've talked about on the technology. We're gonna meet, not this weekend, the weekend after. And that was one of the things I was gonna ask his help is, what can we come up with that we could put into the grant to build this up? So hopefully I'll make sure, so if you wanna table that for now, Dale, I'll make sure that we,
Okay.
you know,
Yeah. I will. I mean, occasionally you could pull stuff up like that in some kind of surplus or something, I'm not sure.
yeah.
I was just shocked too. I mean, of course, look what they get for these file
One thing
cabinets, so.
before,
Yeah,
I
true.
just remembered the permitting. We left the permitting that we would work through October and then refine whatever we found. So permitting now, I had Michael Rodriguez in to talk about putting together, Kathy has put together an Excel spreadsheet, which is on the web. I don't know if you've seen it.
No.
If you go on to the building department, it will say, if they've corrected, it should say permitting activity. And when you click on it, it pulls up an Excel spreadsheet. It lists all the permits over the year, what they're for, everything except the dollars, which obviously should be private, that's nothing to do with. So that's there, and I'm gonna call a meeting, not next week, but the week after, to bring the workshop committee back to say, here's what we've done. We've changed the cover sheet that follows, so when the permit comes in, there's a folder that's put together, an orange folder, and that moves throughout the different departments. The cover sheet now tracks the way the process should work. So the first place it goes to is Colleen Warren as the accountant, as the treasurer. She has to sign first, or it doesn't go any further. And then it lists each of the areas. And what Kathy does is, if it doesn't have to go to planning, she just puts not applicable and initials it. Everybody signs as they go along though, so you know where it is.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
And it's now up on the web. Take a look at it. And I think that will close off permitting. The only thing left after that will be, the last time it was done, we wrote, not me, but the people here wrote a booklet, which was like a 4 or 5 page booklet of how permitting works on Sunset. And that was given out to people. And I think that's where we finish off. And then it's embedded.
Nice, very
Yeah.
nice.
I hope so. Yep.
So you did say the week after next, and just...
I haven't called a
remind you
meeting, but I will,
that is Thanksgiving week, so it might,
oh, so it's the week after that, I was thinking. Yeah,
Okay,
you're
the
right.
week of the
Week
28th?
after, yeah.
Okay.
And I'll make sure you come copied on the memo, so
okay, thank you. And
you're welcome
since you
to
just
come.
mentioned the 28th,
Yeah,
we were a little bit adamant there that the next meeting was the 30th, but it is the 28th.
So, the Monday, the 28th, so I'm putting that meeting.
yeah,
Yes.
so
I
yeah,
would've
that'll be your
discovered it.
communications.
You would have, but...
Now, what was decided with permitting with taxes? Do they have to be current for her to sign off on it, or?
They have to be current, but what's changed is what current
Right,
means.
what's current?
Yeah, so we're going under the new law, which means Colleen, I think in the past, if it was over 12 months, now it can be within the year, and so we'll let Colleen
Okay,
more and make
Okay,
that decision.
perfect.
That's her job.
She knows the history of
Yeah,
the people.
yeah.
great.
Okay. Good.
You said you didn't want to talk to that tonight? You did.
She said it was up to us, and I'm okay. If you want to read
Okay.
that in correspondence, you can do that. And-
One last thing?
Yeah.
Executive session? We never closed on this?
I thought we voted to accept it with the amendment.
With the amendment?
Right, but then I had to rewrite the amendment,
As you did.
which, do you agree with it?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay.
So, a motion to accept them as amended.
Second?
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Oh, roll call.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes. That was a roll call vote to accept the executive session minutes as amended. And
Didn't you do that at the last time? No?
There was no, we had a question on grammar.
yes, sorry.
Now they're really accepted.
Now, there.
Yes. Since we still have a few more minutes, we can either start correspondence or we can do Breed's minutes.
Let's do mine, dissect them.
Sure.
Let's go for it.
Did you have any,
I did. Do you have
Amendments.
2 copies?
I do.
Awesome. 'Cause on my phone it says it's a corrupt file.
I think I lost mine. I had them. No. Sorry.
all right, so I'll start.
I'm gonna give you the official one tomorrow. This is good.
What?
Just the,
No.
just the comma?
Just comma.
So on the first page, under the fire chief, let's see. The chief is looking into regionalization with 4 surrounding towns and will be meeting with the other chiefs, beginning with the Kingston Fire Chief, which apparently is not what happened, but,
Right?
all right, on the next, under discussion, on the 4th bullet, we have KP Law Seminar with Ilana Quirk, and it's not with Ilana, and I don't think we ever thought it was, just,
I think I was going by the sheet, it was the
okay.
one that she did
But it's
before.
just a KP Law
Okay,
Seminar.
I was going by
Fine.
the one that she did, okay.
Silver Lake land sale letter, Dale will work with Charlie Seelig, and that's spelled wrong.
I did.
I would add to that we were going to pursue a joint letter to Kingston before.
Okay. He's gonna
you
work with
probably
Charlie
have it too.
Seelig to draft a letter to the Kingston Board of Selectmen, asking them to amend the special legislation to include language that requires votes by all 3 towns in order to sell.
Perfect, that's perfect.
The next bullet, Board of Selectmen are looking to form a bylaw review committee to review each bylaw as questions come up. So I think that's what we said, that they're not gonna sit down and go through the whole bylaws, but it's,
Recommended by you, your recommend.
yeah. On the last page, under correspondence, the police chief got a development grant to upgrade the police station phone system and security. And on the last bullet, it says Plympton Halifax Express, and it says 10 period, and it's 10/28. So did you have anything else besides
I
that?
had a period after discussion for sentence, a period after the political sign one, put representative,
okay.
period, and then a period after the phone number to call Bree. Then on town coordinator quote from Maya for health insurance is pending. What does that mean? We're waiting for them to get back to us with a quote? Okay,
Yes.
okay, perfect.
Yeah,
The quote
I mean,
is
we're
still
actually
on.
waiting for Mayflower to give us figures to give to Maya so that
Okay.
Maya can give us a quote.
Okay,
That's
okay.
all pending, so.
Okay. I think that was all that I had.
And John, did you?
I didn't have it, so I left it, so I'm fine with those.
Okay. All right, motion to accept the minutes as amended.
So moved?
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Would you pass that over to Bree, please? Hi.
Hi.
All right.
Hello.
Downstairs, if we could do this, would be good.
All right, let's do it.
We've been joined by the planning
Yes, thank you.
board. We have an appointment to make. We have to vote as a joint meeting with the Board of Selectmen and the planning board to accept Irv's resignation, which we've already done, and to accept Dominique Sampson as the new appointee to fulfill Irv's term. So let's have that as a motion.
All right,
First.
I'll make a motion that we accept Irv's resignation and that we appoint Dominique Sampson for the remainder of Irv's term.
Which expires in May of 2017.
May 20, May
Second.
what?
May 20.
May
Okay.
20th, 2017.
Okay, and a second? And all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so that's a joint vote. Dominique can go right down and get sworn in and jump in.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
you.
Dominique, for doing this.
Yes, thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Do we want to sign this so she can take it down?
Irv, don't disappear yet.
Yeah, let's
have
get
a
this
sign
signed
thing
so
here.
that Dominique can take it down to Tara.
You have it?
Yeah.
I know what, somebody has
You knew
it.
you were missing something.
Just have it sitting in front of me.
Is that all
Is.
part of the planning board?
That's you.
Give me something to sign.
Yeah. It's, no,
Oh,
it's
does that
all
one
in
need
one.
to be?
That's what about walking. Okay.
I think that
This is us too?
Well, maybe that one's the correct one because it's got both.
She said, it was up
Boards.
to you. She said
Okay.
either one, you can have both, or just
Yeah, let's
us.
do both.
So, that's why we have them printed out that way.
So you don't need this, I mean, you can take this stuff back. They
Yeah.
just need that one for me. He's signing the appointment. He already resigned.
That's all right. Get the rest of the signatures
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah, as long as you got the
Yeah,
rest
do
of the
you want to take it with you?
Sure.
Yeah, and, yeah. Thank you.
I'll
But
come
don't take
down
my
and
pen
get
out.
it.
We're out of
Thank you.
control.
Yeah, Deb, I'll come down and get it when I bring you your phone. Yeah. How's that?
Perfect. Thanks, Deb.
Thank you. Thank you, Irv.
Thank you, Irv.
Irv has
Hate to leave.
served the town so well
Well.
and so long.
Thanks,
Very
Sarah.
well.
I appreciate that.
It was, no,
And hope
that's
that
Tara's.
you're hoping to continue on CPC. So you're gonna have a meeting tomorrow night, you'll discuss that and come back to us after that.
Yeah, we already, I discussed it with Mark already, so you have to appoint me.
Yes.
Now that I'm not on the planning board,
So
you have to appoint me.
you both have to resign first, but I don't think I forwarded this. In order for, because Irv is resigning, he's the planning board appointee to
Okay.
CPC.
Okay,
So, and Deb is also on planning board and CPC.
Okay.
So what's gonna happen is that they're both gonna resign
Resign.
from
Rich.
CPC.
okay,
He has to.
okay,
Deb is going to go on as the representative of the planning board.
okay.
Deb is currently our appointee.
Okay,
So
gotcha.
we will now appoint Irv because he would like to continue.
All
on
right, so Irv's
CPC.
now gonna be our appointee, and
Yeah.
you're gonna be the planning board appointee. You're just basically switching.
Yes,
Gotcha.
but basically they have to go and formally resign to Tara first, then it has to come back to
Okay.
us for appointment.
So this will be next week that we make this appointment?
It will be the 28th, I was gonna say the 30th.
Okay,
Okay.
all right,
I'll
very
have
good,
the
thank you.
paperwork ready.
Is your next meeting the 28th?
28th, yes.
Deb, is that your phone?
Yes, it's
Okay, oh, you're
recorded.
leaving it? Okay.
And you're gonna take care of it for her?
Her phone?
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay.
And then we'll go over this appointing part.
Yeah.
Okay.
You mean for the,
For next, for the
CPC?
CPC.
okay, again, they have to resign
Yeah.
officially to Tara. Once they do that, Deb gets appointed to the CPC by the planning board, assuming the planning board doesn't have another member that wants to do it, and they probably don't. And then we, if we want to, I mean, this is a vote, it's not a given, but it gives Irv a chance to continue serving the town.
I think it's a great idea.
Absolutely.
We appoint Irv as
I'm gonna do
our
an
representative
appointment
to
slip.
CPC,
I'm gonna do an appointment to,
for Irv
Irv.
to CPC. Yep. Okay then.
is it going to be, excuse me, is it gonna be worded the same way to fulfill her term?
Yes, email Mark and get the term, or when Irv's
Okay,
term,
I have
or email Irv or whatever. Yes,
Okay.
that would be right. Because they need to stagger their appointments as well. Correspondence.
Okay. First letter with regret. This is from Chris Moreno. Dear board members, it is with sadness that I inform you that I need to resign as the Director of the Council on Aging in Plympton. Now I am retired and on a fixed income. I need to move to the Cape where my expenses will be diminished considerably. It has been a pleasure to have lived in Plympton for the past 14 years, where I've been a member of the Garden Club, Historical Society, and Council on Aging. I have met some wonderful people, and it has been a pleasure to have made a difference in so many lives here in town. The Council on Aging Board will speak with any person interested in the position. We will explain what the job entails to these candidates, and then make our recommendation to you. We realize that this decision rests in your hands, since this position pays a stipend of $5,200 per year. Since the director works with the board, it is also important that the members feel comfortable with the person in charge. I will help with the transition to the new director, explaining the job responsibilities and assist that person as much as I can. The grant writing process with the state is complicated and can be daunting. The budget process with the town finance committee also requires some guidance. I will do my best to make the transition as smooth as possible. I hope this process meets with your approval. Sincerely, Christine Moreno.
Yeah,
Accept it with regret.
absolutely. Thank Chris for her service.
Absolutely.
Now, she did say that she first thought she would like to finish at the end of December, but she'll probably be around until her house sells and her term actually ends in June, 1st of June. So she'll stay around, help with the transition, get somebody else on board.
So-
This is our appointment.
Right. So is the Council on Aging going to do the search and interview?
I think that they'll probably at least do the first round,
Okay.
and then we can jump in when needed.
Okay. This is from Frank Bush, the annual Animal Control Officer. Subject is a dog complaint via telephone, November 2nd. On the afternoon of November 2nd, Michael Wright of 3 East Street, Halifax, Mass. reported that a dog owned by Mr. and Mrs. Ed Place of 203 West Street in Plympton confronted him in front of East Street, appeared menacing, and then retreated into Plympton. Mr. Wright requested that I make note of the incident and further stated that the dog was back home now. On November 3rd, I, the Animal Control Officer, viewed the Place restraining method in their front yard and found it to be in order. I did not speak with the owners of the animal during this inspection. The above-mentioned canine is currently under a permanent restraining order placed upon it by Board of Selectmen via certified mail on February 4th, 2016. A copy of the order can be found in Board of Selectmen records of February 2016 for use by the board if additional action is desired.
So this is the document we had
That's what I
last year.
was checking on.
Do we need any additional?
What do the bylaws say for violation of a restraining order?
I do not know.
Okay, well, maybe we should find out.
Okay.
Do you have it?
Oh, I thought I did. So these are municipal bylaws, not zoning.
Right.
Still signed it.
I think the index is under zoning. Dog regulations are N15.
Okay. All right, all dogs muzzled or restrained within 12 hours of issuance of such order. If the owner or keeper refuses or neglects to restrain or muzzle the dog as required, he shall be punished by a fine of not more than $25 for the first event and not more than $100 for a second or subsequent offense. Let's see, any owner or keeper who fails to comply with an order with the Board of Selectmen, Animal Control Officer, or District Court shall face a complaint in the District Court and shall pay to the town a fine of not more than $25 for the first offense. So it looks like it's $25. Not sure how.
I've got more than $25, so it almost looks like we could assess anything we wanted, up to $25.
It should pay the town, not
Yes.
more than $25, yes.
I'm a little confused about, the animal control officer has said that the restraining method appears good, yet the dog's out. And I guess I would ask the places, what is going on here? I mean, if they're under a permanent restraining order.
Well, we had been getting a lot of complaints about this dog, and this is the first one in, well, nearly a year.
Okay.
So apparently what they've been doing has been working and at some point failed, so I don't know.
Is this just a one-off, or is this going to
That's-
be an
that's what we don't
ongoing
know.
problem?
So do we write this letter?
I think we write a letter and say that, remind them that the dog is under permanent restraint and that any future incidents will be subject to fine.
Okay.
Sounds fine by me.
Bree, did you get that?
As provided by the town of Plympton bylaws or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, on to, go.
Just to finish that off, do we want Bree to write that letter and me to sign it, and let's just get it out as soon as possible?
Yes,
Yes.
So, that's what we will
and
do.
copy Frank in on it too,
Yeah.
so that he knows.
And there's not a fine this time.
Not a fine this time.
Right. This is from the Old Colony Planning Council. Election of Board of Selectmen representatives to Old Colony Metropolitan Planning Organization. It's addressed to Christine Joy, select person Christine Joy. Thank you for your interest in the Old Colony Metropolitan Planning Organization process. At a meeting of the Old Colony Planning Council held on Wednesday, October 26, Mr. Eldon Moriera, I'm not sure I'm
No,
pronouncing that right.
you were saying it right.
Okay. Chairman of the West Bridgewater Board of Selectmen, was elected as a Board of Selectmen representative to the Old Colony Metropolitan Planning Organization for a 2-year term commencing November 1st, 2016. Please be advised that Plympton continues to be represented on the Old Colony Planning Council and the Old Colony Joint Transportation Committee. and we will continue to work with you to identify and program federal transportation project dollars and provide ongoing technical assistance. Thank you for your interest in serving as signatory on the Old Colony MPO and for your many efforts in these regards.
Yeah, I was there. I said, everyone should vote for Eldon. He wants to do it, and I
Good
really
move.
don't.
All right.
Yeah.
Plympton Halifax Express. We have a new postmistress at the Plympton Post Office, Kimberly Newcomb. Nice article on her. Says stop in and say hello. An article entitled Selectmen Hear from Chief on Challenges Facing Fire Department. A nice write-up on the session we had with Chief Borisari. An invitation put out to Plympton citizens who would like to take on the task of reviewing Plympton bylaws. Compliment page with the only applicants to submit a bid for the job as Town's Council. The gravel removal permit on Ring Road has lapsed. Former planning board member Dominique Sampson has agreed to fill out the term of planning board chairman Herb Beltler. And Treasurer Collector Colleen Moran sent a letter to Selectmen saying that her department is adopting the same every other week schedule as Selectmen. That's it on that. Plympton Halifax Express of November 11th. Trump pledges unity, but within that article it talks about the voting going on within how Plympton voted by Democrat, Republican, etc. An article on a Plympton resident tapped to run Boston Marathon with Teddy's team. This is Jocelyn Anderson, chosen to run the Boston Marathon in support of the American Stroke Association. Nice article.
And she's on our Board of Assessors.
Yes.
Which is Deb Anderson's daughter.
And a quiet.
Okay, good.
You know, it was interesting, I looked at the questions, I mean, it's really interesting to see how people voted, but the marijuana vote numbers are not correct in the paper. She used the same numbers from question 3.
Okay,
It still
that.
passed
It did
by
pass.
150 votes, but it wasn't as staggering as that.
So we can all light up now?
You're 10 ounces, I guess, is that what it is, 10 ounces?
I don't know.
What is 10 ounces?
And I think we all, excuse me, also got this from the Old Colony, that they are trying to establish a bicycle and pedestrian advisory committee. So anyone's interested, they can contact you because you're a representative there.
You know who had expressed a little bit of interest in this before was Mark. They had a survey, Mark Russo, and I forwarded him the information on the survey, and I know he did that. So it might be something that he would be interested in.
Okay. So, Bree, would you get this copy to Mark, either by scanning it or? Oh.
Do you need this?
I don't know what it is. John, would you pass me that little post-it note?
It's your
That's
notes
good.
too, so.
Oh, this is my to-do list, I did. Yay. All right, so we're done? We no longer have any warrants to sign, they've all been signed?
Yay, thank you. Hey Bree, are we current with the Collins Group?
Money-wise?
No,
Money-wise.
because I'm waiting for, no.
Okay. You had asked me to reach out to them, but I didn't think we had sent them the check yet that we owe them, and I didn't want to.
Maybe it's on
I think
board.
we're waiting for the money to come in from the state, I believe, to pay them,
That
is that
should have
correct?
arrived by now.
I thought it
can check
did,
with Colin
but it
if
was
you'd
in the
like.
last warrant not to send $10,000.
And we were a little short. And when I
Can we check on that?
kind of ran it by
Yeah, definitely.
Colleen today, regarding something else, a payment on the fire department
Okay.
vehicle. And I said, oh, are you referring to this with the old colony? She said, no, not
Okay, so let's make sure that we are current with the Collins Group, or that we pay them if the money is there.
Okay, so let's, as vaguely but as specifically as possible, talk about the executive session.
Okay,
So I can,
They're not really clear. You may want to just go in the office and get the.
Do we want to
Well,
just,
you got
I'm not
it?
sure
She's
that she
got-
actually
she's got
does
the,
need to meet us.
Okay.
If-
I don't
if we
think she
just-
needs to, if
Here,
we just come up with a game plan of
That
how
way
we
they
want
know
to
what
proceed.
page you
So
gotta
just
go
tell
to.
her
Great.
to.
Things like the old Sears
go
catalog,
ahead
it's so
with
big.
That we're giving her permission to pursue the things that she wanted to pursue. Is that,
I'm sorry, I wasn't listening.
talking about having an executive session, or rather not having it. Ilana sent us those emails, and she outlined some things that she could do. So I guess I'm asking you two if you want me to just respond to her that we are giving her permission to pursue.
I think
course of
that makes
action,
sense.
Yes, I want to hang tight on the hours.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's a sticking point for me.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I got the note.
So I make a motion
Collins
that
Group.
the chairperson be given
So if we both
authority
do, she'll.
to deal with legal.
Okay,
on the
I'll second.
executive.
all in favor?
Okay,
Aye.
I'll just check the
Great.
diary and let you know.
Yeah, I don't think that you're right, that it's necessary that we meet with her. And it really would probably be more timely if we did, and we just instruct her to fix
Yeah.
what we'd like to do.
Okay.
Rocky Harvest legal issues.
And cheaper.
And cheaper. All right, so I'm gonna follow up with Lauren Goldberg on, or their accountant, whatever, their accounting department,
So who made that
I
motion?
made the motion.
Thank you.
and with
Christine,
Ilana
second.
on Rocky Harvest.
Perfect.
So a motion to adjourn this meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good night.
All right.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. See you on
See you in
November
2 weeks.
28th.